Good afternoon, everyone. It's 4:30. I'd like to call the meeting of the Moorhead Public Service Commission to order. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Yeah, let's laugh. The first item, and we're already giggling. Motion is approved. I'd also entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda unless anyone has any changes.
Move to approve the consent agenda?
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Moving on to, it's interesting. The on-screen version of the agenda is not like my green version, so I'm going to depend on the green version tonight. For some reason, I've got an asterisk where it doesn't belong. Customers to be heard, or other presentations, recognitions.
No recognitions.
No recognitions. I don't see customers. All right, old business. Mr. Old Business isn't here. Anybody else have old business? You can tell him I said that.
I have one question. All
right.
Yeah, we have that charging station at the Starbucks.
Yes,
Would it make sense for us to put a little sign up that says,
we're working on that. Dennis is on top of that. So if you've got any ideas for what it should be, Dennis informed me that, and they had a electric vehicle seminar last week, and we got a chance to talk to the company that owns that, and they don't really have any interest in a sign, so they're okay with us putting up a sign. So we were checking with them first. So we can put up anything we want. So we'll probably get something that says electric vehicle charging station, powered by Moorhead Public Service, something like that.
it's amazing how many cars stop by and charge.
Yeah. It was both lanes are full.
Well, and they had a conference last week, and there was about 100 people there from all over the region, and I'm sure they had it at the Marriott just because the charging station was right there. So,
Have we had conversations with MnDOT about signage on the freeway?
have we done anything with that?
I mean, we really ought to be
Good idea.
putting the word out miles, out.
Well, it's all electronic now too on your
Well, yeah, they
cell
can
phone.
see-
They've
yeah,
got that.
yeah, they
so.
can see that, but-
But now August 1st, you can't look at your cell phone to see where it's at. So maybe
you're not-
signs would be
not supposed to
good.
do that. So, I would think that'd be worth the conversation. Yeah.
And go on both sides, right?
Going
Oh,
both
yeah,
ways.
coming both ways, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That's it? Reports. Mr. Gertz?
Probably the biggest thing from a city council standpoint, we approved 24-hour work on the underpass to kind of get caught up a little bit, and that'll be for a duration of 3 weeks, beginning first week in June. And the consensus on the council was, if there's opportunity to pick up some time so we can get the underpass open for fall, it would be open to more of that. Kind of depends on the contractor. If there's activities that would help them pick up time, some of those aren't. There won't be any driving of piles or anything like that, but it'd be just hauling dirt. So for sure they wanted 3 weeks now, maybe 3 weeks in September. But the council was certainly open to having them come back and request additional opportunities for 2 shifts to work 24 hours to pick up some of the lost time due to late spring starts.
See, that would be partial traffic in the fall, right? Not full circulation.
Correct. We want to get the roadways open so we could get, just from a safety standpoint, get traffic flowing and using those new roads. So.
Yeah.
I was at the Tasty Freeze yesterday, and you actually have a view of it. It's a big ditch.
It's a big hole.
You can see the plans before, and now it's like, that's a big ditch. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
big hole.
It's a big hole.
Pretty cool.
God bless you for going to the Tasty Freeze. All of you going to the
Everybody goes to
Tasty
Tasty
Freeze
Freeze.
regularly? I will.
So,
I got a
thank you.
nod. They need our support. This is, it's going to be a long, long time for them with this, barrier to traffic. So go buy ice cream. And they have great hot dogs. All right. Public Service Commission members, activities to mention, report? Okay. I'll just mention in a couple of weeks, I'm going to travel to the annual conference for APPA, American Public Power Administration. Association. Bill's going to be down there as well. Looking forward to a number of conference items which are interesting, including succession planning. You hear me talk about that occasionally, as well as just some other items that I thought were measuring progress, measuring what it is that we do and how effective we are and so forth. So I'm signed up for, I think, some pretty good sessions. So we'll report back to you sometime next month after that trip. Mr. General Manager. Excuse me. At this point, I should report that we had closed the session, closed the meeting last time, 2 weeks ago, in order to have a conversation with Mr. Schwant on his performance over the last quarter. We've moved to a quarterly conversation, and we had a productive conversation, I believe, on a number of items that will hopefully be showing results and progress as we proceed through the year. So enough said on that. Mr. General Manager, now you're up.
In the general manager's written report, there's the first quarter strategic plan update, and just a reminder, it's a good time to kind of just take a look at the strategic directions and some of the progress on some of those, and usually we get, a few comments about things that are happening. In addition, there is quarterly dashboard reports, and we kind of went back to just a simplified dashboard for some of the division activities, and those are available for your review as well. If there's any questions either now or between the meetings, just give us a call, give us an email, but those are there for your information.
Actually, Bill, now that you mentioned the dashboard, as I was looking through this, I thought it would be interesting at some point to get a little bit more into detail on a couple of things that caught my eye. The infrared inspection was something that I thought would really be interesting, at least, but also good to understand, particularly because it evidently identified some various critical and serious problems, and so I think it'd be helpful to understand what it is that that kind of examination does point out, what critical or serious means.
Right.
If for public consumption, then since we're on TV every other week with this meeting, then we can be knowledgeable about what things like that mean.
Yeah, I mean, Travis can give you a little overview right now, and then if there's a better way to describe it, just tell us.
Yeah, so on an annual basis for our NERC compliance and just reliability requirements that we have Missouri River Energy Services, our power supplier, come up. They have staff on available to do infrared inspections for us. Annually, we go through a series of routes, or a lot of our overhead facilities, along with all of our underground facilities as well too, mostly transformers for the underground facilities and switches, inspecting them, again, taking those 1,260 images and then looking for areas that, have come up since the last time they've been looked at. And it's usually 1 to 2 years between inspections on most of the equipment. And then if they find something is an issue, they note it, they send the report to us, and then we go and take a look and take care of it. And some of those are, of course, critical, some are serious and moderate, and then watches. And based off the criticality of it, it'll get taken care of right away, or it might be able to be held off till it warms up, or depending on where it's at and what it is. So it's just more of a thing we do to make sure everything's reliable. It'd probably be something that could fail in the near future, so us taking care of it ahead of time allows us to not have an outage in the future. So it's a maintenance and reliability standard that we like to have.
What does critical or serious?
Great.
How do you characterize that kind of what was revealed?
Sure. Hard to explain if I don't have a sheet in front of me. We can maybe bring something back at the next meeting, or
That'd be all right.
2 meetings from now, and it just kind of shows. It's based off of a temperature range, is what it is.
Okay.
If it's so much above a specific temperature range, MRES has a standard, and I think it's pretty much industry standard that says okay, this is too high, it needs to be looked at right now. You know, this can, you know, needs to be watched, or you got to get this in the next near future.
Right.
So, but yeah, we can bring a report back, or a GM report with, you know, showing one area and what the differences are on it, so.
And Mr. Regala would ask you, what does NERC stand for?
NERC, North American Electric Reliability Corporation, so.
Cool. I didn't have anything else, but, you know, that caught my eye as I was going through the material, and, you know, you guys do some fascinating things, and every once in a while, I just feel like I don't have a clue what it is that you're
Yeah,
talking about.
we've actually, another thing to point out too, we did install an infrared camera that does video for us on the Brookdale substation for all of the tracking issues that we've been having. We put that out there.
Oh, yeah.
Still working to get everything operational and make sure it's in the right spot so we can clearly see if we got some tracking issues, but it's out there, it's ready for the next season.
So
So,
remind them of why there's tracking issues.
yep,
Two.
good thing. So tracking issues, we've been having tracking issues at the Brookdale substation. Every once in a while, we see it at Southeast, but for the most part, it's because of all the chemicals that's being put on I-94. It turns into a mist, and that mist basically, you know, floats onto the substation because of the northwest winds that we have, which then collects on the electrical equipment in the substation and causes tracking, which then will cause outages if it doesn't get cleaned off in time. So, and we did a really good job this year. We didn't have any outages on that substation due to tracking, but we did keep a really close eye on it, so.
And that's because we wiped them down.
Yep, we wiped them down in the fall prior to that, and actually this fall we'll actually be putting an application, a silicone application on it that's made for that equipment to help minimize that collection of the chemical that gets mist or turned into a mist.
Is it corrosive, the chemical?
Yes. I'm going to stop there. Yes, there's actually two chemicals that they put down. They put down a chemical that gets sprayed onto the I-94 bridge,
Yep.
and that is basically a de-icing agent similar to exactly what they put on airplanes. And then they've used the saltwater beet juice brine, and that's what they basically have on the trucks that gets laid out. And that's the beet juice brine is what actually causes the issues. So, and that's the corrosive one. So.
Well, it's a good question, and I understand stopping where you are, but it sounds like a conversation that we still need to have.
Sure.
Yeah. How corrosive? You stopped, but how corrosive?
It's hard on equipment, let's just say that. It's probably harder on the vehicles and the trucks applying it than anything else. But again, it does cause us a lot of tracking issues on our equipment. So our stuff doesn't rust, but it's causing the tracking issue.
Note for later. Anything else? Bill, anything else on your report?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 9 is to approve distributing generation workbook for the distributed generation interconnection with Moorhead Public Service. Dennis, you're walking up to the podium. You must be the guy.
I'm the guy.
Okay.
I'm Dennis Eisenbrown, Energy Services Manager with Moorhead Public Service. The interconnection agreement is something that we require customers who put their own generation facilities on their houses, whether it's from solar or batteries, something. Because what we're trying to do is make sure that they're doing it safely. The whole idea is so if there is a power outage, that their generating equipment is not putting power back onto the line that we think is dead. So that's really what this is about, is to make sure that doesn't happen. The last time we had this interconnection workbook put together was about 7 years ago. And this is a lot of the same bones from that, but it's been tweaked a little bit and made a little bit more codified, for a lack of a better term. So before somebody would give us an application, we'd look at it, we'd review it, and kind of would go back and forth. But now this new process, they have a certain number of days that, you know, we either take an action or it becomes default in one way or the other. And that's what a lot of this is about, is it makes it much more well-defined of how an application is processed. So that's really the big deal here, so.
Okay.
So Dennis, how many customers do we have who have their own generation?
About 4. Yeah, not many. I mean, very few people do it. So, but it's been, something that by the Purple Law, I think in 1978, we are required by law to allow people to interconnect, but it's a very expensive thing to do. So,
Are those 4 commercial, industrial?
no, they're residential.
They're residential.
Yeah. So we have probably 3 commercials and then probably 3 or 4 residential customers, so.
And they've actually simplified the process, I believe, right? Putting it in a different tracks, so a residential customer,
Right.
it may be easier to fill out the forms.
Yeah.
And the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission
At least
is
that's
trying to
the
make it
theory,
simpler.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I think it'll be all right, but it does make it clearly defines who's responsible for what and what the time frame is. So, and I think it was certainly meant to make it more simplified for the residential customers. So,
And we're required by law, by the PUC, to have this by June 17th.
yeah.
So, and so it'll be on our website.
Okay.
yeah.
Anything further? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve item 9.
A motion?
Second?
Got a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Item number 13 is to approve task order number 3 with SEH for geotechnical services for MPS Lime Sludge Dewatering Facility. Mr. Knutson.
Water Division Manager Chris Knutson. So as many members of the commission are aware, we've been talking about sludge since 2015 and really trying to deal with the sludge solution for Moorhead Public Service. And just as a brief background, sludge is generated through our water treatment process. It's basically a residual of the process that we have to dispose of. Right now, we currently dispose of sludge in our lime sludge storage ponds, and those ponds are approaching storage capacity. So looking at the long-term solution, we really settled on doing a lime sludge dewatering facility, and that's what we've been working on. In March of this year, we started the 30% design process with SEH. And as part of that design process, we're looking to get some geotechnical analysis done for that 30% design process. We've looked at some of the process components of the facility and looked at some of the very preliminary design elements of the proposed facility, and the geotechnical component is one kind of small piece to the puzzle that we'll need going forward. So kind of well on our way. Looking hopefully to bid this project late this fall. So we still got a ways to go on it, but still early. But want to get this component of the project done.
Members, any questions for Mr. K? Steve?
Did you just get one bid from Braun Intertech, or did you get other prices?
We had one. We approved a master agreement with Braun for a variety of testing materials early there this year. So we just got one price from Braun.
Okay,
So.
thank you.
Any other questions? What's your pleasure? Motion to approve would be in order.
Okay, I make a motion to approve task order number 3 with SEH for geotechnical services for MPS Lime Sludge Dewatering Facility.
Got a motion?
Yeah, what Chris said, I said.
What she said.
Hey, I like to read.
I guess it was Chris's mic that was off, so
Awesome.
we don't have to repeat the motion. We know what it is. Got a second over here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Item number 17 is to award a bid for Macara Industrial Park Water Main Loop and 8th Street South, 12th to 20th Avenue South Water Main Replacement.
Yeah.
Still there?
Yeah.
Chris?
Kind of start with the beginning of this project. So we originally envisioned these respective projects to be included in a drinking water revolving loan application and fund, along with the Center Avenue project. Back when we did the Center Avenue project and bid that project in January, the payoff for using drinking water revolving fund funding really wasn't there. It didn't pencil out for us. So originally we would have lumped Center Avenue and these two projects all together in one kind of package, and that's how we budgeted for it, and that's how we looked at it. With that being said, subsequent to the Center Avenue project, we pursued this project as just a standard financing, or basically we're not going to use the drinking water revolving fund as a funding source for this project. So the two main components of the project are the McCarr Industrial Park Loop, which is basically adding another water main feed to the industrial park. Right now, we just have one feed for the industrial park. If we were having issues with that line, it would be very beneficial to have a second feed. And that project that component of the project has some complexity in that we'll actually have to do a railroad crossing there as part of that project. The second component of the project is replacement of water main on 8th Street between 12th Avenue and 20th Avenue South. Over the past 10 years, we've had a number of water main breaks between 18th Avenue and 20th Avenue South on that line. And when we do have those water main breaks, it's a pretty big disruption. It's in MnDOT right away, so it's a challenge both operationally for us and then for traffic in the area. So that's an important piece of the puzzle, an important piece to get replaced as well. One small component of that project is installation of water main and sewer along 18th Avenue South between 8th and 9th Street. We worked with the city on a couple things. The city was looking for design of some sewer in that area. The city is doing a concurrent project in the Center Square area. They just indicated to me today that they would like that alternate number 1, which is a subcomponent to this project, awarded. We had anticipated that would be the case, but nonetheless, just got final word today that they would like to see that awarded. Got 2 bids for the project, one from Key and one from Haug, and Haug was the low bidder. And when looking at it on a per foot basis, we felt it was a competitive bid and a good bid, so we're looking to proceed with the project. And 2 important pieces for our water distribution system.
Members?
So Chris, the one on 8th Street, that's basically the entire length of Concordia all the way down to 18th, right?
Down to 20th,
I'm
actually.
sorry, down to 20th.
Yep.
And you had mentioned to me earlier, a lot of that is actually in the sidewalk, right?
Yeah, most of it will be in the sidewalk. There will be one section north of 12th Avenue. We're actually going to drill, there's a pedestrian underpass there. We can't really, we don't want to open cut in that area, so we're going to drill underneath that pedestrian underpass and connect in the roadway there at just north of 12th Avenue. So that'll be one section that will have some traffic control components to it. That'll be the biggest disruption. For the most part, it should be just, if we need single lane closures along 8th Street, we'll use them, but primarily we'll be in and around the sidewalk.
How old is the pipe that's in there right now?
I believe it's 1950s, 1960s cast iron, somewhere in that vintage. So just a lot of maintenance issues with that water main over the years. It's a pretty significant transmission component of our water distribution system, so it'd be a good one to get replaced.
I expect this takes the whole entire season to do this, or?
Yeah, good question. We, to give the contractors some flexibility, actually allowed this project to go through June 30th of 2020. So it includes the end of this season and then the beginning of next season, just because it's a significant amount of water main, and we wanted to get some competitive pricing in terms of, we didn't want to try to fit all this in one season. So it'll really be up to the contractor to determine how they want to phase it. Some of it might go into next year. They might want to complete most of it this year.
What's our expectation then for them to button it up so that winter is not meaningfully, a mess.
The specifications require that anything they basically open up, they have to get restored within the construction season. So they can't, for example, leave a roadway in gravel over the winter. That would not be acceptable.
Okay. Chris, this is the first piece that Apex has been working with since our meeting a couple of weeks back or a month back. How many potential bidders did we actually have for this project?
It was open up to any, it was publicly bid, publicly advertised. Anybody could have bid it. The only requirement we really had was a contractor experience statement. That was the one thing we used, but it was publicly bid, publicly advertised.
Okay. Anyone disqualified?
Nobody was disqualified. On projects of these magnitude, we've typically received between 2 to 4 bidders. On Center Avenue, we had 2 bidders as well. We had Key and then Celine on that project. And then I think back in 2016, we did the I-94 water main crossing. I believe we had 4 bidders in that on that project, but it's a large scope of work. And it's mostly horizontal directional drilling, which is specialized. We're working in MnDOT right away. And then we've got some pretty complex horizontal directional drilling as part of the project. So I think that limits the interest level from a variety of contractors, so.
Okay.
And you have the easement rights on both, from MnDOT and from on the railway on the other one?
We're working on it's a G&W crossing. We're still working on that permit. We have a master agreement in place with G&W that really expedites that process in comparison to BNSF. So I don't anticipate any difficulties with that permit. With respect to the MnDOT permit, I believe we're still in review, so we're still working on that component, I believe. The construction won't start for some time yet, so we still have some time to wrap up those permits.
So you can provide us an update on things like that as you proceed?
Correct.
Okay. Cool. Anyone else? Questions?
Just on alternate number 1, then the city, we're collaborating with them. They pay for their portion, we pay for ours.
Yeah, good point. They had indicated that they'll pay for their portion. I'm not sure exactly how they're financing it. There may be some assessments involved, but they've indicated that they'll pay for any additional engineering and then the construction component of that portion of work. The reason it was proposed to be lumped into our project, and we were very willing to help out, was because they're doing a mill and overlay in that area, and they didn't want to put a small scope of underground work as part of that mill and overlay. So I think it worked out well for everybody, or I think it's a good potential solution.
12th is important in the bigger scheme of things, isn't that right? The master plan for the community isn't 12th the kind of the projected east-west vein through the city?
And I believe the city is doing like a corridor study. I'm not sure on the exact phrase of it.
This rings a bell from some master planning that especially with the school development that's going on. I see Travis coming up here too. It's a foggy memory, but I recall that the 12th was supposed to be this landscaped and well-developed sort of roadway. Is this the first phase of that, or?
Yeah,
Travis.
Travis or Steve knows more about it.
Okay, all right. Travis Schmidt, Electrical Engineering Manager. The city staff has been working on a corridor study. Probably late last year or mid last year, they got in communication with us trying to figure out on the electric side, what was possible in that area. I know they sent out some surveys and we're looking to see what people were interested in and how they would like it to look. I think they're still working through some of those processes and trying to figure that out. We have provided them some information on the electrical side on costs if we were to underground it. High level numbers right now, nothing really set in stone yet, but as for the corridor, yeah, I think they're looking from Southeast Main all the way to, I think 5th or 4th Street is what they're looking at currently. I don't know if that's going to extend further to the east yet, but I haven't seen anything on what it's going to look like or anything like that. I don't know, Steve, if you can add to that.
I know MetroCog has done a study on it and working through some of those different options, have done some public hearings to get some input from the public, but I don't think any final plan has been approved yet.
Okay, cool.
So Chris, one question I have on the intersection on 12th and 8th. There's a lot of orange signs right now because that's a detour route going, avoiding 21st. Are we going to shut down that intersection when we bore?
No, we're not going to shut it down. We'll take at least one lane and possibly two in that area. Basically, the northbound lanes in that area. We'll have to kind of determine. We'll have to work with the city and MnDOT when that happens, just to make sure that we're not really conflicting that detour, or contradicting it in any way.
I'm going to call for a motion here in a second, but stay at the mic. I got a question about winter repair and things like that. Just an update on
Sure,
when
yeah,
we
yeah.
get the streets back in shape.
Absolutely.
If we're done with that, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve item 17.
Got a motion? No second, it dies. You're out of business.
Yep.
Okay, I got a second. Okay. I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Chris, street repairs, paving, filling in some of these holes that are left over?
Yeah.
What's the status?
So over the course of the past week and a half, 2 weeks, we've been basically excavating all the main break repair holes and replacing them with Class 5. We just started our first asphalt bituminous repair today. The asphalt plant's just recently opened up, so we're just starting the asphalt repairs, hopefully within the next couple weeks. There's a lot of holes we have to deal with. We're just kind of picking off the high priority ones as much as we can. So we have a closure on 5th Street right now that will be open tomorrow as a result of the asphalt plant finally getting going. But some of those freezing temps, really can't operate the asphalt plant during freezing temps, so we've kind of been restricted by the weather, unfortunately, in that regard.
Well,
Say, is 5th Street a candidate, sorry,
go ahead.
is 5th Street a candidate for replacement? Because we've had a lot of stuff there, right?
Yeah, we had a couple breaks there over the winter. 5th Street, historically we haven't had as many issues. The real prohibitive factor is that it's a concrete street, so we've basically kind of been avoiding concrete street areas until the city has a plan, or I should say, until we can coordinate with the city where they would do some type of restoration there. It would just be really, really expensive to work there without a coordinated project.
Anything else? Thank you, Chris. This meeting will now be closed for executive session. As authorized by Minnesota statutes, section 13D.05, subdivision 3C3, to discuss property transaction involving parcel number 21.029.4201 in Moorhead. Do we expect action to be taken on this one, Bill
No.
or John? Or?
No.
We do not, okay. Action is not expected. Therefore, we will adjourn upon conclusion of the executive session. We are closed.
We're good.
Thanks, everyone.